My name is Renat, and I'm here to share with you a story of how I personally became a developer in crypto, and want to suggest some tips and tricks and lessons learned for those of you who want to join the movement and become a full-time contributor to Web3 economy. So why did I join myself and how did it happen? It was almost 7 years ago when I attended an Ethereum meetup in Silicon Valley, in Sunnyvale, and listened to a talk from the founders of Gnosis. And several years later, I was contributing to crypto projects full-time and was part of the project that built one of the first insurance applications on Ethereum, which paid automatically for those who were delayed on their flight to DEF CON in Shanghai. And then we repeated the same for DEF CON in Cancun and Prague. And several years later, we found Protofire to help multiple projects build protocols and build their DAOs. And today we're 70+ team members who contribute to some of the major DAOs and protocols today. At the end, I will share with you an easy way to join, to become a member of Protofire DAO. But now I will share with you some of the reasons as to why did we start working in Web3 and what does it really take. For some of you, answer might be yes, it's because compensation is great, it's crypto, you get paid in tokens. However, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Those whom I met 7 years ago, they didn't start crypto projects because they wanted to do a token. They started their crypto projects because they wanted to make an impact to the world. And while not everyone is a founder of a crypto protocol, but some of you who contribute really like the fact that you build way more and you ship much more often code that is used in production, and it often uses real funds. Yes, it's quite challenging and risky. Security is very, very challenging in crypto, but you build more. And also, for those of you who are here in Argentina, you don't need to move to the US to earn a decent salary to work for crypto projects. Most crypto projects work remotely. And the biggest reason as to why I joined Web3, back then it was just crypto full-time, is because I saw how it could be used as a tool, as a mechanism to build applications that remove trust, assumptions, and really make the impact to the world, delivering something that was never possible before. So that is really the bottom of the iceberg. Working for a DAO is not really easy because it's very different versus working for a company. Some examples include the looseness of organization. There is no clear hierarchy. You need to be very proactive. It could be quite difficult to understand how to get around. However, once you understand the motivation that you and yourself and the people that you close with, the solutions that the dApps, that the protocols that you could contribute to, how they could change the lives of people, you will figure out that it's not that hard. And some of the tips I could give you is that number one is to understand really the customer of the DAO, the audience, and what are their needs, wants, pains, what are their fears. Because once you understand that, you will be able to really come up with solutions that are very much needed to take the protocol, to take the DAO to the next level. Be proactive. In DAOs, because it's hectic, it could seem quite unorganized. You really need to be proactive, and you need to make proposals all the time to be heard. But decent proposals, decent ideas will always be welcome. Be clear when you communicate. We often work with developers who are not used to be sharing screen or video on the Google Hangouts, for example, or on Zoom. So this is one of the tips, is to assume by default that people want to see your face and they want to see your work, they want to see your screen. identify bottlenecks that prevent the growth of the DAO protocols. Most of the protocols are end-sided marketplaces. They have supply side and they have demand side. Majority of the hardest problems to solve are on the supply, not on the supply side, they're on the demand side. This is where the usage growth. So if you look at projects like Filecoin, for example, they have an issue of getting the users to use the Filecoin. So that's an example of a demand side problem. The same thing with L1 and L2 networks, right? Very soon they will have a hard time figuring out how do they get real users, how do they get the dApps that are different, that are unique, right? Not just the fork of another project. So write more often and share notes with colleagues, and look for problems that are bottlenecking the growth. My tip is look for on the demand side, and once you find some issues, once you understand what are the bottlenecks, it's very easy to grow within the DAO, to grow within the community and be very influential. Compensation is quite different between Web 2 and Web 3. The main takeaway is that very often the token allocations are vested much faster, and they become liquid much faster compared to traditional startups. Traditional startups often have to work for 5-7 years to either be acquired or go IPO, and that's when you have a liquidity event. In crypto, liquidity is coming much more sooner than that, so that's one of the upsides. And what's more interesting, we at Protofire DAO, we share profits between all team members. So these are something, some of these instruments becoming much more available to be used, and I encourage those of you who are building projects, building companies to share the part of the value that the team creates in the form of sharing of profits and revenue. The impact that you can make, that's by far the biggest difference. In Web 2 companies, you often work on closed proprietary software, and the goal of these companies is rarely to deliver a public good. The goal is to accumulate, capture as much value as possible, and the mechanisms that they're using are often counterproductive and seemingly in conflict with the values and missions that many crypto projects have. Hold on. Most importantly, the fundamentals and the values of the crypto projects, they're not targeting monetization through capturing of proprietary data of users. So their Web 2 companies very often exploit the privacy and the private data as the fundamental building block of their business model. In crypto, it's almost never the case. It's quite the opposite. The crypto projects and protocols, they exploit the market inefficiencies. And as you heard just a few minutes before, that most of them are end-sided marketplaces. So this is the kind of where the two sides of the coins, right? End-sided marketplaces have often a different business model. Surprises when you work in Web 3. There is a lot of bugs, a lot of incomplete documentation. It really sucks to start working with a new project. It's super hard. You have to growth hack all the time and find ways to accomplish some of the difficult things for maybe your work. If you work, let's say, as a front-end developer, sometimes you need to really expand your stack, right? And you will end up yourself looking into Solidity code on GitHub, trying to deploy contracts. So it's routinely, for example, QA engineers in some of the projects that we're working on, they routinely deploy Solidity contracts and start doubling across the stack. The dApp front end is not as thin as in Web 2. It's often, you need to juggle between ways that either you access the chain directly, or sometimes you need a middleware. It was really problematic to build dApps a few years ago, but now thanks to the middleware like the Graph, to which we are a large contributor and one of the top 10 indexers, You can build much faster, but you still need to effectively work as a full stack developer, even if you are just working on a front end. The learning curve is long because of the issues and very fast pace how projects are being developed. The good news is that the barrier to entry is very low. These are some of the resources you can take with you to get started very quickly. We at Protofire are big fans of Morales Academy. We use it all the time, and this is one of the fastest ways to get from zero to hero in Web3. Solidity security is a big issue as soon as you start working on applications that touch money. So there are a couple of games I put here the links to where you can learn the basics of Solidity security. Why you should consider becoming a member of Protofire DAO is because you will be exposed to work with not just one, but a variety of different crypto protocols and DAOs. We at Protofire have a unique edge. We have unprecedented access to information flows, and we spot trends before someone who can potentially work for a single project. So it's very interesting to be working with multiple projects in the space because you can see things from above. And some of our team members have a great choice when it comes to which DAO they can work with, and half a year they work for one, and at some point it's quite easy for them to join another one because they have colleagues that work there. The reason why protocols and DAOs work with Protofire is because we help them resolve some of these bottlenecks that prevent organic growth, that prevent growth of the demand side. Typically for protocols, the goals and metrics are TVL, total value locked, protocol revenue. So these are the two major KPIs that the work that we do at Protofire impacts. Protofire is building solutions that help mass adoption, and they often range from SDKs to sometimes we run validators, sometimes we provide liquidity to protocols, and this work is interesting because it often results in identifying opportunities to build a solution or build a product inside of the ecosystem of the DAO that we're working with. So as a result, we now have 70+ members who are part of Protofire DAO, which is a venture studio that builds teams that solve specific problems, and some of them spun off into solutions that work and serve the specific ecosystem. Protofire purpose is to help the world transition to Web3, where majority of the people in the world have access to the benefits that we have as crypto natives, the financial tools and various instruments that remove trust from the ecosystems. So our big hairy goal is to help onboard 1 billion or more users and onboard 750 billion plus TVL by developing some of the earliest code bases of protocols and DAOs. We are about 10% done with TVL. Some of the protocols we worked with and developed more than 10% of their early code base. They have about $85 billion in TVL at this time. In this link and the QR code, you can join a Discord of Protofire, learn more, and see the projects that we're working with. And if you have any interest in working for some of the DAOs I showed you, we would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.